Well, moving on to the second example, now we're going to start looking at writing our own sub-procedures that can be called from our command buttons and our menus. So I'm going to open up this example, General Sub-Procedures, which is on Blackboard. Drill down to launch once again, as always, the Microsoft Visual Studio solution. Launch the program. And in this program, we're trying to avoid duplicating code, doing the exact same code in two places. This is bad because, number one, it's more work, and number two, if you have to change something and you put it in two different places, you have to remember to change it in both places. Otherwise, you're introducing a bug into your program because you change it in one place, you forget to change it in the other. Or say you got it in 5 different places, the exact same code. Well, if you change it in 4 of the 5, then every once in a while your program has a bug. In this example, you've seen this before, we're going to be able to create a computer with some choices of RAM and DVD drive accessories, and we're going to get the total. Now what I've done differently here is I've added a clear RAM button and a clear drives button. And it's still loading just a bit. There it is. It's all loaded now. So let's open up the code window, and I'm going to double click on clear RAM. Give it a second here to decide. It's still getting initialized. There we are. Now we're in our code window. So when I choose clear RAM, it's going to call a sub called clear RAM. When the user clicks on clear drive, which is this button right here, clear drives, it's going to call a sub called clear DVD. When the user clicks on clear all, I'm going to call clear RAM, clear DVD, and a third sub called clear prices. So the advantage here is I've got 2 different places that need to clear the RAM. Of course, when they click on the clear RAM button, I've got to clear the RAM, but also when they click on clear all. So I wrote a sub called sub clear RAM, and I turn off all 4 radio buttons. Same thing with clear DVD. In this sub, I turn off all the checkboxes. And then finally, sub clear prices just blanks out the price label. Now, how do you create a sub in your program? Well, the easiest way is you come down to the very bottom and you just say what you want to name it. Sub, I'll call it Bubba. Now, when I press enter, look what it does. It added in sub. So now I've got sub Bubba in sub. I can write any code I want inside of here. And then I can call Bubba from somewhere else in my program by saying its name. Of course, case doesn't matter, but I'll just type it as uppercase. And you see, when I pressed enter, it put an open and close parenthesis on it, and that's a reminder that Bubba is a sub I wrote. So if I come down, of course, Bubba's not doing anything, is it? Pretty boring. Maybe, it doesn't matter. Now, another thing about a sub is once you've written a sub, you have to create a sub outside of any other sub. I can't say sub Susan, no, not string, digit string, sub, helps if I type right? Oh, it's auto finishing on me, how annoying. Sub Susan. Now, if I try to do this, it's going to give me a red squiggly line saying statement cannot appear within a method body. End of sub assumed. So I have to hit, really what it's saying is I got to have end sub before I can start my next sub. Okay, I've got to hit this end sub statement. And this is where experience comes in, because as you get these error messages in programming, it's kind of like the error messages are written in a different language and you don't understand them. But when you get a message like that and you learn what it is, what it really means is that it's quite simple. So don't let it intimidate you. So I'm going to get rid of sub Bubba because it's not doing anything anyway. And I have to make sure I'm not calling Bubba up here because that would be an error because it doesn't exist. And let's put some breakpoints in my code by clicking in the gray margin. so we can watch how this works. I'm going to go back. I'm going to start my program. Remember, on the debug menu, F5 starts the program. Now we're going to actually want to pay attention to, do we want to step into our code or step over? If you just click on a sub and you're debugging with step over, it will run the entire sub without going into it. If I want to go into it and see it be run, I got to hit F11. So like once you have a sub debugged and you know it's working, you can just use step over. But when you want to go into it to see what's up, to see if that's where your bug is, you want to hit F11. So let me start the program. Waiting for it to pop up here. There it is. Let's pick some options, 4 gigs, Blu-ray burner, Blu-ray, say total price. Now I'm going to hit clear RAM. That's going to hit my breakpoint. You see how it hit my breakpoint for clear RAM? So right now, if I was to hit step over, it will run clear RAM without going into it. See how it's on in sub now? And now I can tell my program to continue. This time when I hit clear RAM, you see my yellow lines on clear RAM. This time I'm going to hit F11 and step into it. So it's going to jump down to clear RAM. It's going to run the 4 lines of code in clear RAM, which is turning off the radio buttons so they're unselected. It hits in sub. Once it hits in sub, it goes back to where it was, and they're cleared. Now, if I hit clear drives, you see how it pauses right there on my breakpoint. I can hit F11 to jump into clear drives, turns off the 4 checkboxes, comes back up here, hits the in sub. Now I'm going to say clear all. So it's getting ready to run clear all. Now it's on clear RAM. Now if I hit F10, it's going to skip over clear RAM. It ran it, but it didn't step into it. Skip over is a bad way to say it. It runs it without going into it. That's what happens when you hit F10. F11, it's going to jump into it and let me step through each line of code. And then each time you see it comes back where it left off. Now it's going to jump into clear prices. Down here, it's going to clear the prices. It's going to go back up to my button clear all. It's done. It's going to hit the end sub. And then I'm back, finished with my program. So that is what is going on in this code window. And that's the difference between F11 and F10. F11 step into, F10 step over. Now on your compiler, it might be different function keys. It might be F8 and Shift F8. So you just got to go to the debug menu and take a look. So this is our first introduction to subs so that we can avoid code duplication. If you're doing something over and over again, you want to put it in one sub and call it from different places in your code so you've only got one place to go fix a bug. That's why we do this. Thanks.